worried about you, right? The smaller the amount of information you have to learn, usually the better. Well, this method, which again does not work for all textbooks, but it works for some of them really well, and I'm going to explain that in a few minutes, actually is one of the better techniques. Let me give this to you. Okay, and so as you look at this, you see on the left side a page or a part of a page from a textbook. On the right side, you see a piece of notebook paper. And you can see the 3 little holes in there. Okay, and so the idea behind this method, it involves this. If you see the arrows, that's just to help you kind of figure out what this is all about. I'm going to show you the first couple of these, and then you'll get the idea for the rest. On the left side, the first sentence you see in the textbook is actually a definition of the word attention. You probably never thought of a definition of that word, but here it is. Attention is the mechanism that selects some materials for further processing and excludes the rest. So when you go across to the notebook paper, you see the word attention all by itself at the margin, and then further in you see keeps some materials for further processing, gets rid of rest. Same basic thing, but just in the person's own words a little bit and a little bit shorter. The second sentence on the left has 2 definitions in it, which is kind of amazing in such a small place. It says the better recall of the first item on the list is called a primacy effect. That's one definition. And that of the final items is called a recency effect. So when you look across, you see both of those terms, and you see the actual definition given in the person's own words, and so on. Okay, that's how it works all the way down the page. Now, this is a little bit like what I asked last week about something if you were here, but even if not, no big deal. If I told you that I wanted you to learn all this information and I was going to give you a test on it at some future date, but I told you that you could only take one of these 2 with you to study from, which one would you pick? Yeah, I would hope that you would pick this, and I'd say, well, why? It's the same thing as this. And then I think your answer would be, no, it's not. It's shorter, and it should be easier to study. Why is that? How would you study this that would be better than just reading it?
Cover up one side.
Cover up. So what is that like? What do you do that has 2 parts to it, and you test yourself on it? Flashcards. So you cover up and you test yourself, and then you check to see if you got it right. That's a much better way to study than just sitting there staring at all the words and hoping that somehow they soak into your brain. And so the point of this is whenever you can take something in a textbook and shrink it down and write it in your own words and have it in this format, it makes it much easier to read and learn. So then that brings me to the other point about this, and that is, can you do this with every page in every textbook? I guess yes, and then you'd never sleep for the rest of your life. It would take way too long. So when would it be good to use this, and when is it not appropriate or helpful? And here's my basic answer to that. You know what a textbook page usually looks like, right? It's got a lot of information. This is not even a whole textbook page, but if you count over here, and you don't have to count, I'll count it for you. There are 8 definitions given over here. 8 in this little space right here. That's a lot crammed into a small little space. So if you're ever reading one of your textbooks and you get through a page and you think,